Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Celine, and today I have my beautiful soul sister back here for an episode 2 of more about diving into spirituality. In today's episode, it's quite important because this is something that has been important in our everyday mission, our soul's mission here. We are here to advocate for several of the children that go through a lot of these SRAs, satanic rituals, trafficking that happens. This is what we do every day. It's what we came here to do, and assisting Gaia in this ascension. So just a trigger warning for everybody, we're going to be talking about our experiences. We're going to be talking about what goes on behind the scenes, why it happens. All over the news right now, there's several calamities, there's several events that's been happening, especially with the Diddy case. A lot of these celebrities are getting exposed now, so this is our take on it. And ask yourself, ask your higher self if you should proceed, because you might get activated. We're going to do some clearing as we're conversating here. And yep. So welcome back, Phoebe. Thank you for being here again with us. It's an honor to be here with you and doing this work.
Thank you. I'm excited to see you too.
All right, so let's get started.
Okay. Just randomly come up while they're
It's like, oh, look, flashbacks, like, sorry, it's like, we're so used to talking about like Satanism and demonic shit. This is like our everyday, but to some people it's like, what? This is happening? These bankers, these celebrities, they've been eating children and drinking their blood.
Yeah. But
But I hope this helps lighten up. Well, I hope this helps kind of clear some things.
darkest shit we could possibly talk about.
Yeah, I know we're always giggling, and we've gone through a lot of darkness that we're unfazed by it. We've processed a lot of things that we've come out so much better, a lot lighter. We're no longer afraid of being hijacked, being attacked, because we're in a place where we feel grounded so deeply within ourselves. We know what to do. So we can talk about all the dark things. And we're going to dive into some important topics today, something that we constantly work on almost every day and involves what is currently happening around the world. If you have any questions that are wondering, like, why is the world the way it is now? What is happening? It's just all this chaos that we're noticing. But anyway, we'll dive into a few things. It'll just be a question and answer. Maybe this will enlighten you and kind of put you more at ease and help you understand what truly goes on in the background. And so we're always like giggly, and I think we're because we get really nervous about talking about this stuff. And
Serious topics, so um
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Thank you.
that suddenly I'm like getting nervous because this is a big part of my spiritual awakening. So is yours, our lives as a child. And I'm just going to preface, I have an Indigo contract, and you also had an Indigo contract where we both had Nephilims and Oriphims, and we had to transmute a lot of the things that they had done previously in their past lives. If you guys have watched our previous video, we delve into a lot of what it's like being an indigo. But a few more things that we want to cover today, especially with a lot of the news is coming out of the Diddy parties, what really happened there. The list keeps getting longer and longer of all of these celebrities. And I really wanted to have Phoebe here because she's also been through a lot and she can shed a lot of light when it comes to these. So I just wanted to ask, what was your earliest memory of how did you find out a lot of, let's say, what happened, not just with SRAs, it means satanic rituals. They do this to a lot of the children, they do this to women. What was your experience with it? How did you get to know all of these things?
Yeah. Well, I guess my earliest, I experienced it when I was a child. Um, but it was very fragmented. And so my earliest experience is actually like in dreams,
Mhm.
seeing this stuff, having dreams around what's now in the news. And sometimes anytime I would just sit still in my body, I would get visuals of things that were in my body that you know, it's societally acceptable to talk about sexual abuse. I mean, it's not that easy, but it's not societally acceptable to talk about SRA. Like nobody believes it's real,
Mhm.
or at least didn't until recently. So it's like it's like spicy sexual abuse. Basically, you go to a therapist and you give just the most like whitewashed, benign version of things you experienced and try to kind of process things that way. But yeah, I mean, a lot of like what I experienced didn't fully come together for
Mhm.
me until earlier this summer,
Mhm.
which you were there for me for. And I kind of went a little nuts during because it was really traumatic. Um, because it creates a lot of terror and fragmentation. And when you're putting yourself back together from it, can cause psychosis. And I experienced that for a little while. So my earliest memories started really young, but then only fairly recently have I been kind of getting the mind body integration aspect of it to be able to talk about it in a way that is cohesive.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned before that your consciousness was stolen or it was fragmented. How did that happen?
Yeah. So in your line, there's repeating contracts, and you basically sign your soul away. And um, oftentimes you don't actually sign your soul away. It's just signed away, grandfathered in contracts. So, for example, someone like Justin Bieber, he's just born in a family. He's just repeating a contract.
Mhm.
And then they get targeted because they can see that there's contracts that permit certain things. So, um, yeah. So it's
Yeah, it's really crazy because the Justin Bieber thing, that was one of the things that I was clearing to the Hollywood timelines. And when I was going through the Moloch, which, a lot of these children are sacrificed to this entity that harvests all of our energy. It harvests children's fears. Justin Bieber, they were showing me that he was graped by Jay-Z and collapsing those Hollywood timelines. We did this like back in April, and now it's just starting to come out. It's really crazy when you start clearing these timelines. It starts to show up in the collective in such a huge, massive way. And yeah, what's your point of view when it comes to these parties? Like, why do they do this?
I mean, to harvest energy, they're deprived, they are occupied by beings that delight in harming children, harming other people,
Mhm.
and getting energy. And I think the thing that kind of frustrates me in the media is that people are focusing on it being hookers that are there. And the reality is like, if you're a dark being, hookers don't really provide a whole lot of life force energy
Mhm.
for you to siphon. That's a that's another way that the media distorts. We both know how this works. Like, it's children that are the what is wanted here.
Right.
And I know experiences with Moloch and this situation. Wondering if you want to share that as well.
Yeah, that was very interesting when I was processing Moloch. Did you have a lot of experience with Moloch too?
I had more with Baphomet,
Mm.
but I had experienced Moloch with Baphomet with Leviathan primarily.
So I don't know if I have a lifetime with Baphomet too, but I definitely had a lot with Moloch. So Moloch is this owl-looking entity that they have to give a lot of sacrifices to him. This is what they do with the grove. I was seeing those masked people I was telling you where they look like they have beaks. I was seeing a lot of like people in hoods. And so they do perform this like huge, massive rituals. And some of the lives that I've had, literally, I was seeing decapitation. I was seeing like my head getting cut off, just children screaming. I would hear children's voices, just them getting all these crazy things at the worst possible things that you can imagine happens to these children. Yeah, the worst possible things that you can think of. There is really no therapy for the visions that we see. And what's worse is when we're transmuting this, I physically feel it. I feel nauseous. There was this instance where they were biting on my neck. There was like two beings that were biting on my neck, and I can like literally feel it on my neck as if it was happening because I'm transmuting it. I'm letting those memories go of my soul, and it's really revolting. I want to like crawl my skin out, and I don't know if like other people experience this too. If it wasn't for my higher self, it wasn't for my guides who they can freeze your genes with disgust. They froze my gene with empathy. So they would just show me images and pictures and let me process it through my body until I can collapse those timelines, which in result, these things in the collective happens. It's so weird when you're transmuting these things because these are past lives that you've had. So yeah, I was seeing a lot of the rituals that was happening at the Grove, and then we also had lives in the island where I was a medium rare steak. They would have heads of children in the tables, and they would just like poke the eyes, just like grill them or cook them in a way, and you can see the heads, the faces of these children just the most ridiculous things that you can possibly think of. And they enjoy it. That's the worst part. They enjoy it. So, yeah, what about you? Like, what were your experiences with remembering?
Yeah. So I had similar experiences in this life. I experienced um like really violent gang sodomy when I was 3 and some torture, but I processed the lives of, and I'm not fully integrated in that yet. Like it's integrated in my body, but then it's like it gave me DID and then kicked me up in the upper realms. Um, so there's still like little pieces here and there that I integrate. Um, but I processed things like uh a child being, because I process things for the collective, like souls that, I think I talked to you about it, where a child was completely eaten, torn alive with teeth by
Mm,
Bill Clinton. So this was someone eaten by Bill Clinton.
yeah. The
And when you see
Clintons are kind of nasty. Like I would see Hillary just like drinking on blood and
Tegan and they're in these child memories. If you decide you want to help process child souls, you will see celebrities and
Mhm.
politicians in the memories of these children.
So
And
why is it that in these parties they have these baby oils? I was wondering about that.
I have no idea. That feels like some
Yeah.
kind of a gimmick that they're trying to do, and people making jokes about it kind of make me sick. Like, it's not funny at all, but I understand if you are not intimately acquainted with like the horrors of it, you might just think that somebody's like having a lot of sex or something,
Mm-mm.
you know? I'm sure people are like, "Oh, Diddy, he's probably just getting laid a lot." And like, no, you know, like have this open some more and you'll, you'll know what
Yeah,
it's.
they use the children as party favors and they have blackmailed all of these other celebrities too to in case they want to speak out about it, they have evidences for them to literally ruin their lives. Um, so the island, what
Yeah,
was that beehive thing? Was that a different um you mentioned something about the beehive.
the symbolism.
Yeah,
Uh,
or was that with the consciousness?
oh, yeah. So if you experience SRA at a really young age, it fragments you and your brain can look like a honeycomb
Mhm.
pattern because there's all these spots that beings will come and take bits of you, and then also your lower body is corded to Baphomet, Moloch, Leviathan, all their legions,
They're just hanging in there like
their myth manager, demons. There's like whole hierarchies, and then usually the beings that were the intermediary, headmaster mason will get a little cut of that also. It's like if you have like management, middle management, lower management, and you have to uncord all this and you have to do it from the inception point of when it happened.
Mhm.
And then they build all these structures in you, typhoon tunnels, which are these like weird tesseract things.
Had the loosh in my back. took me a while to like get rid of it. And yeah, they're basically just siphoning every time you orgasm, every time you have sex. Instead of that energy goes back to your heart up and opens your chakras, it goes straight down. That's why you feel kind of tired right after you ejaculate, right after you have a sexual practice. And people don't even realize this, especially people in adult industry. All of their energy just goes straight to them. That's food to them. And
Yeah.
provocative people, their bodies are just being used. It's really sad because your soul is like aching to get out of that, to have reverence for your body, that you are a divine being. But that's why they do the inversions. And what else were your memories when it came to the island? Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean, I process things around children being MK ultra, like being in these sleep states. The
Mm-hmm.
sleep states correspond really heavily with um this kind of stuff where they have like MK ultra is a name for it, but they have a lot of different sleep states that get
Mm-hmm.
out and they work with your vagus nerve, like they have implants on the vagus nerve, turn on that sleep state, and then the child can do things like harm another child in the same way they were harmed, kill another child, eat body parts off of another child. Like
Mm-hmm.
they make the child, they love to do have a child be a victim and then the perpetrator, because then you get that child in a kind of double bind and that fragments them further and keeps them from getting out of all of that.
Yeah. Also the implants, we've had to take out a lot of implants on us. It took us a while to clear all of these things in our bodies. You don't see it. You feel like you're normal, but your memories are so fragmented. It's almost like you can't remember a lot of things. I had SPS on the top of my head, in the back of my head, a lot of my joints, literally like it was all over. And this was when I started really clearing. And the worst programs that was happening to me was a lot of the perception control, because it really messes with how you perceive things. It's almost like a contact lens, like you're perceiving reality so differently. And this distorts your view of the world. This distorts how you view other people, how you view yourself. And you don't really notice the difference until you start clearing these things in your eyes, in your head. Sometimes it feels like a cloud, this heavy cloud that mind matrices. It's the type of program that they also do, and just it feeds you information. A lot of the other things that goes on. What other programs do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, the Ascension Glossary has like a whole list of all the things they put in you. I had all of them. I've had everything. I've just gone through and assumed I had everything. But
Mhm.
programs like you know, victimizer, like what I said, and then all of the fake spiritual distortion stuff
Mhm.
that's in there. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like all the cables to Nibiru and all the AI overlay stuff that hooks in with the SPS on the back of the head. So like if you watch The Matrix, like like they
It's
nailed it.
information there.
Nailed the spots. Like it's all in the spots that they have people and I'm sure that was
Yeah, that's something I work tremendously on, our brain stems, our nervous system here, our thyroid, thalamus. there's so much like that goes on in these body parts. And let's say each body part corresponds to chakras, corresponds to certain stargates also. For example, 10D was something that we've been working on a lot. And 10D is Iran, I believe. And, that Stargate there is super hijacked. A lot of the Armageddon software is there. Um, there's several Gaia's in Hawaii. That's Gaia's heart chakra. And one of the things that we were grid working on, I went to the ocean for this, was they were trying to hijack Gaia's heart, which is essentially where the circuitry or where it connects everything. Think of it as the central unit of Gaia, where her electrical grids kind of disperse out of that and into her different parts of her body. And Gaia is wanting to shift herself. We're seeing a lot of these calamities now. We're seeing a lot of flooding. There's a huge storm happening in Florida because we are evolving. This is all for evolution. And we have to kind of remember why we're here, like what our missions are. But we get so distracted with our work, corporate America, scrolling, dopamine inducing content that we need to get back into our hearts and heal ourselves.
Well said.
You were mentioning about how these souls lines, how we are in the blue line, there's ruby line, there's the emerald, there's purple line. These are the Christos lines. And we're basically back here and fulfilling a lot of these Christos mission. Christos is essentially a title. So let's say Yeshua, it's kind of like your PhD or MD. Christos is a title. And we're both in that blue line. We've had to process our biblical lifetimes too, which was also really crazy. You experience and kind of learn about what it was like to live in that time period. It's really
It's
like
funny.
time traveling, right?
It's so interesting how you can be in the Bible, you can be actual characters in the Bible, but like not be Jewish.
hmm So how does that work? Like instead of bloodlines, it follows the soul's lineages.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've always wanted as a collective to
Mhm.
um have more honest histories, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, it's a lot of redacted information on the Bible, and again, these literatures, it's written by the victor. If you notice, a lot of women have been erased all throughout history. We
Oh
did a
yeah. Yeah. Going back to the royal bloodline, it's like it's kind of like sounds like it would be an honor, but it actually just means you're incredibly hijacked and
it's
fucked.
more work.
It's like the worst thing ever. Like the royal family
Mhm.
is like they're completely not human. It's like the kind of stuff I've had to clear out of my womb and so much reptilian everything. It's like nobody wants royal bloodline is just the other word for it is like completely, utterly hijacked, not sovereign. You better become a healer because you have a lot to clear out.
Yeah. And, we purposely come here. You have like an RH blood type. This is
Yeah,
why there's a lot of like DNA wars. They want a copy of everybody's DNA to find these RH
yeah,
negative people because our DNAs are extraterrestrial. I mean, we're all technically star seeds. We have some history there.
yeah.
we've had memories of the Montauk Project too, where as children we were
Fun.
experimented on. That was crazy too, because getting flashbacks and then I would feel them cracking my ribs. And I'm just
Yeah.
like lying down, processing this shit, getting all these visions. It's like, what the hell?
My brain kept getting electrocuted like on purpose. They kept trying to like work because I have my monad's pretty developed, and they kept trying to like electrocute my brain, for, all their hybridization shit. But
Yeah, basically, NAAs, we've covered some of this in our last podcast. It is their source of food. They want to engineer all types of things with these children, engineer different DNAs, hybridize them, edit their DNA. And so we're back here kind of healing, rehabilitating our DNAs now. We transmute them so that we can start moving into having an evolved DNA for the future lines of Gaia, future humanity, because if you are not ascending, you are descending as a species. And yeah, if you notice, some people are getting dumber and dumber instead of getting faster, smarter, because we're meant to go back to source.
mm,
So, right? It's just part
yeah,
of.
I think there seems to be a divide growing.
Mhm.
Um, Although no one, I mean, very few people on either side seem to be thriving right now. I mean, it does seem like a lot of the star seeds are getting their butt kicked.
Yeah, we're kind of just super tired now because we've been transmuting forever and ever. We've been working hard on the masculine line, which the masculine is super hijacked. That's why
Yeah.
men have a very hard time connecting with their hearts, connecting with their soul. Can you explain more towards why is their identity so rooted into making more money in the dark masculine, hypersexuality?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I know a lot of women and their masculine.
Mhm.
I think that like I definitely see a gap between men and women. And I'll talk about the masculine side of everyone. It seems very hijacked. It seems far behind, and whether a person is a woman operating from that spot or a man, I don't know. People, that's a different topic, but the masculine side of everybody is behind. But I also think that, if you look at kind of the role of I think a lot of the rise and fall of masculine and feminine is actually dictated by astrological stuff.
Mhm.
So, to some extent, this is the year of the dragon, divine masculine really rose. Next year is the year of the serpent. We're gonna get in the fallen goddess histories. I'm so excited.
Mhm.
You know, Next year is gonna be all the dark feminine stuff coming up, which
That's
you and I've been
exciting.
purging this year. We're we're starting. We've been purging that quite a bit this year, but there's going to be more of the collective in that next
Mhm.
year. So, to some extent, the masculine may be behind because they're supposed to be from an astrological standpoint.
Mhm.
So, you and I both we talk about our frustrations a little bit,
Mhm.
you know, and what do you think? I'll put it back on you.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of what I've been clearing, even with my clients and within myself in the collective, is the throat chakra that has been just so suppressed for eons and eons. Like I would always see braces on people's necks, and like their chest would always is so hardened, it's so dense. People have so much grief, unable to really fully love themselves. And again, these are different body parts that we have that once we kind of start clearing these karma, clearing these patterns that's been stuck in our bodies, it allows us to feel more bliss. It allows us to feel more divine love within ourselves, within others, within our partners. And it's not to say that it's all of the men's fault, because they are just victims too. They are even more hijacked. They don't know, can't feel anything in their bodies, that it makes them so hard to love other people. And
Mhm.
their souls are all aching to go back to that. But yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a very
the
interesting.
men we know are, loving,
Mhm.
all that stuff. But I mean, just if we're gonna separate them as the two energies, the
Mhm.
masculine's really far behind spiritually and in terms of the heart space. If we just channel, collective divine masculine, collective
Mhm.
divine, um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
do I do see a lot more women embodying our voices, embodying our throat chakra, which gives us a lot of our voice, because we need that divine feminine voice and not the distorted dark feminine that's chaotic, that's vile, and just the opposite of being soft and being loving. So the men will have to embody and start processing their feelings. It's kind of like a switch where women will start to give our voices out, and men will have to do the meditation inside, because we did all of that last year and this year, a lot of women.
You and I have both done a lot for the masculine line in particular.
Oh, I can't wait to like see our work
Oh,
and everybody's work too, because it's not just us, and
yeah.
see how the men start to heal, because their histories are a lot.
All the war histories are
Mhm.
really difficult.
I was processing the German war. I think it was like in 10D, and it's in the back of my head, higher mind stuff. And there's a lot of mania, just psychosis, a lot of these brilliant men, Van Gogh, um, who are other brilliant, like Einstein, they're super brilliant, Oppenheimer, very intelligent men, but there's
Yeah,
like the opposite spectrum of just manic episodes, just ungroundedness. You could probably say a lot about this.
yes. Yeah, this is my family line. Like the mad scientist genius. And then our soul line, it's a lot of the Antichrist line, who's this, super high up ascended master, but at the same time, misuse of power and a lot of other things that I've had to clear. And I had many past lives where I was this stereotype. I mean, I've been a couple of philosophers where I look and I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. What? Like, please tell me I did not have this past life as this, like famous, like, stick up the ass,
Yeah.
reformist, philosopher, oh God, this is
You
terrible.
get really crazy like information too, such as, for example, Julius Caesar, he was gay and he was having like gay relationships with a lot of his senators or whoever it is. Just like the weirdest information about these historical figures. And I know you process a lot of like Akhenaten stuff and Egypt.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think the thing that kind of drives me crazy is It's like you have a past life and then you look it up and you're like, wait, what? How is history so wrong? How did you miss the mark so much on this? Like, you did not understand. Especially if it's your past life. It's like you almost get a little bit like protective over the person where you're like,
That's
they
so
were
what happened.
dying. Screw you guys, and it's like a famous person. And sometimes there's
Mhm.
like a whole subreddit like shitting on the person, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus didn't actually die, it's like he was happy with Mary Magdalene, he was in
Yeah. I
side
mean,
or something.
connect with either of those guys. I mean, they were like they would have been like Burning Man hippies today. They weren't,
You want wine, everybody? I got wine
Yeah.
for you.
I mean, they were pretty cool people.
They're kind
But
of funny too. It's like it's really weird like connecting with famous people. I connected with Shakespeare before because when let's say you can tap into anybody in the field and they're just hanging out there and they tell you all kinds of crazy things that's happened to them. It's like, hey,
yeah.
I want to connect with Tesla. I want to connect with whoever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's funny also, like, I had a lifetime as this like famous prophetess in the Bible.
Mm.
And, if you Google it, it's like, oh my God, she was this like holy. And then I processed the lifetime, like, she was totally false light and like full of shit and had a lot of trauma and then died of leprosy.
Ugh,
Like, but,
yeah,
she's like, venerated as this like, ooh, sister of Moses and led the. And I'm like, oh my God, like, that was my lifetime. That person was nuts.
yeah.
That
They
was
did
my
have
psychosis patterns, by the way.
they didn't have a lot of clean water back then, which caused a lot of like disease. It was just like they didn't have good sewage system and they did a lot of psychedelics. Like they used a lot of these snakes, all kinds of drugs. Dude, they were high all the time.
The
Almost
time.
everybody, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bible is like an accurate rendition of the Bible movie would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It seems like a crazy party back then though. But yeah, but anyway, we're back to our missions now,
Yeah.
finishing up whatever Yeshua did not finish, and it was kind of perfectly timed, perfectly set up for us to restart that line again. And why is it? Do you know like why there's several like rays that kind of intersect? It's just
No, no. Me and your relationship, you are the one that does like the big picture, hooking into like exploring, and I'm the one that's like grounded, practical.
You're in the lower realms, just like in the hell realms. Like, who's in there? Is Demi Lovato there?
Just
Billie Eilish down there? Who's down there?
artist, and you're the one that like is actually, good at these kind of explorations. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm playing into like the amethyst ray now.
Mm.
There's like all this new iteration of like the pink lilac sun. I don't
Mm.
know. Ascension Glossary has all these terms. I'm like, like,
It's like we never
okay.
know like what it's really hard to like kind of explain too the things that we see, especially like I have a hard time with timelines and grids, like the architectural structures of the universe. And we've both been to the Tesseract, which is higher mind stuff that's even more mind-blowing because you can get lost there. There's several versions of Earth. Your consciousness can get lost. So one of the questions I always get, why is it that we get attacked and people who don't have strong embodiments? Can you touch on like, access points and all that?
Yeah, so if you have a timeline where you're connected to an entity or a being, they will go to the inception point of that timeline. The inception point is when it first started in your family line
Mm.
and with you. And so you have to clear it from the inception point in order to completely disconnect from that being. Otherwise, still corded to you.
Mm.
And to even have access to that deep of a layer, you have to have your soul very grounded into your body in the 0 point in the center of you. So you have to be quite a bit embodied. You have to consciously work on being in your body, deeply in your body space, in order to even have access to the inception point.
Mhm.
So it can take a long time to actually get sovereign from certain contracts, certain other things, collapse certain
Mhm.
things, because chances are if you have a pattern of something, you have it many, 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 many thousands of times at least in your lineage. And so, being able to collapse it or visiting a healer who has that level of embodiment, who's able to collapse it for you, could be something you could try.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Jews?
Oh, fuck.
This is a pretty big one too. Or do you want to start with Vatican?
I can make a statement around that.
Okay. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
So I think just being able to say
Mhm.
that there are all these families that control everything, or there's the perception that they control everything. In fact, they're totally not sovereign. They're just human vessels that are used to, control things. Um, there is this idea that they're all Jewish people or Jews.
Mhm.
And because all we really know is the Rothschilds. Rothschilds are Jews, helped create the
Mhm.
state of Israel. Um, but there's a whole bunch of families and they're all over, they're globalists are the families. There's the Orsinis, there's families in Italy, there's families that are behind those families. Um, and so it it doesn't follow racial lines. And the religion is Satanism.
Mhm.
So, uh, even though a lot of the Abrahamic religions have sects,
Mhm.
subsets that essentially they're satanic or permiss satanic things under the veil of mysticism. Um, but yeah, there's no group that needs to be targeted regarding it, but there are groups that kind of cover these people, protect.
Mhm. For sure. That's why they run the world.
And
But
that's yeah,
yeah, especially with what's happening in Gaza, Iran, Israel,
yeah,
that's a huge feeding ground for them.
yeah,
You know, there's been long history of wars there. I mean, it's a land grab, cash grab for them. But the deeper layer to that, their Armageddon software is there. There different types of program that can emit signals all over the world, creates these nets to alter our sense of perception, our mind matrices that essentially are projecting these waves that alter people's memories, alter people's how we view things.
yeah, yeah.
We couldn't say a lot of these things before. I was so scared to get hijacked again or possessed because I've mentioned my possession before. That was scary. Luckily, I know you and you're very good at depossessing people. Yeah, I was in DC that day and I was doing grid work. It was going to shift like the moon's polarity. They don't like us snooping. But that's why we go through ascension. So we get into a state or a level past 15D and we have better protection for ourselves because they're always watching.
Yeah, they're always looking for vulnerable timelines and vulnerable access points. And that's why becoming sovereign is really important. Um, Clearing past timelines that permit it and patterns that accommodate that stuff.
Blocks to sovereignty and but yeah, I think the difficulty is people are not as embodied or they don't even know how to connect with their highest selves. It's so hard to kind of how do you even grow your gifts or start collapsing these patterns within yourself? You really need somebody to give you those frequencies, which we do a lot of activation. I'm sure our higher selves right now, everybody that's watching this, we're doing some clearing around you.
Self is playing stuff that literally makes me feel drunk right now. Like I'm on Xanax. I'm like, what frequencies are you doing right now?
Right? Just like last time, they're just blasting us and it creates like these huge magnetic fields. We're just like honed in. It's like, okay, higher self, like what other question should we even talk about? But like frequencies that you're just chilling or whatever it is. Sometimes it's strong frequencies where you feel like you're getting defibrillated.
Yeah, some of them can be really intense, like the divine fire ones that are
Mm-hmm.
meant to just like purge you out and then the plasma comes in, or the ones that clear out lunar distortions in your womb area. Like those are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the volcanic kundalini ones that I've experienced, a lot of the fire frequencies, they're kind of nice. They're super cleansing, but yeah, you kind of have to feel these frequencies. I love the aurora frequencies because it's very like colorful, it's light, it's very cleansing too. I feel like the auroras are very like family oriented, just different beings that are here to assist us. And again, Earth is very important to them because we're all connected. Whatever is happening to us here, it reverberates into their planets or galaxies too.
Yeah. I think we're from the auroras.
Yeah, I've seen
No,
like dragon luminaries, like the
yeah.
colorful psychedelic dragon colors, but our lineage goes way, way back. It's really crazy how you kind of meet your soul family and you just know that, oh my God, we came here together. Like, I know you. When you first kind of popped in my community and you had your photo there, it's like, who is she? Like, I know her. Yeah.
Yeah. Felt that way when I saw your video too. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know I had a Nephilim then, or you knew
Uh,
one?
I, I didn't know it. You didn't seem like you had that. It might have been in your field.
Okay.
It wasn't on you.
That I had a contract or, you know.
I didn't know you had a contract. I
Mm.
thought you were an Indigo too, actually, when I met you.
Yeah, usually Indigo 2s, they do a lot of, was it the DNA transmutation or grid work? They do grid work, I think.
You weren't as like
Developed yet.
not necessarily developed, but you weren't like now you're like Moloch, the dark.
I'm not
You're
traumatized by cannibalism anymore.
not you're totally like a dark worker now, you know. not necessarily living in the dark, but you can handle whatever, But yeah, when we met, I thought you might have been an Indigo too, because
Mhm.
twos usually don't have a traumatic past. Like it's usually a lot, they have a lot of skills and a lot of development
Mhm.
techniques. Like they're more technique oriented, but they don't necessarily, with Indigo threes, it's like I was born in the dark. I'm a dog, like here
We're
to
we're
be
the
the
Gryffindors.
yeah, it's very scorpionic, like I'm here, I can resolve this polarity. Um, it's different with Indigo too.
Mhm.
Different.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's almost like I've always had known, or there was an instance where your higher self would make you Google things. Like they were making me Google Indigo 3. I was like, what is an Indigo 3? It just like pops in your head, kind of like a download. And I've always been known since I was in high school or something. It's like I know I'm an Indigo 3. I know I'm a Starseed, and um having these memories. I was getting when you're sleeping and you get, what is that? Succubus? Incubus is the guy. It's like astral rape.
Yeah, been there. I've actually I had because I had these royal lifetimes. They
Mhm.
clone royals and they make dark blueprints out of them that then like rape people in the astral.
Mhm.
So there's like versions of me in my past life that like rape people in the astral. And I was like, oh God, I should like, am I karmically responsible for this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I asked and I'm like, yes, I'm karmically responsible. So I'm like, great, I should process that in my body. So I
Mhm.
processed like versions of me as like some royal queen that like had raped so many people in the astral. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
gosh. That's the worst.
if anyone wants to call me dark, now would be a good time.
Yeah, and you feel it too. Like when I would be asleep, it's very disturbing because you feel like it's happening. Yeah, like you feel it as it's like kind of happening within you. And like my chest would start feeling heavy, and like there's this dark being on top of you. You can't move, you can't shake it off. However, I found that like praying Hail Mary, when those things happen, it kind of starts to go away. And I ask like my guides, you can control your dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to back in the old day before I was really connected to my higher self, I would call on Jesus and he'd
Mhm.
be like, hey, I'm here. What do you
That's
need?
so cool. Yeah, Jesus activated my heart, my green Jesus heart, when I was going through a lot of the Moloch things because he wanted to eat me.
Oh, yeah.
It's really scary. I started having like tunnel vision. I was like, oh God.
Yeah,
But
all owl stuff.
I was traumatized with owls for a very long time. I could not look at owls.
I can't do owls and I can't do goats because of Baphomet.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I don't have Baphomet like lifetimes. That would be like really scary.
Baphomet is usually connected with Illuminati stuff,
Mm.
like the Illuminati family lines.
Hmm.
Moloch is usually money and banking type stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
that's why I do what I do, you know. I know these banks will get debased someday. My frustration with these banks, not only because of how they do transactions every day or how the banking system is so sluggish and so slow, but the deeper aspects of it. I mean, Charles Schwab and his psychotic friends, and you know, the whole New York Stock Exchange, Sand Hill Road, they just manipulate these stocks up and down, regardless if the economy is up or down, they make money. And again, we are in a banking war now. Our food, a lot of these huge General Dynamics, Raytheon, all of these big companies, General Mills, Target, Walmart, they all control everything. So it's quite personal because I collapse these timelines for us to start getting back a lot of the wealth codes that were taken, and hopefully we start regaining a lot of the collective wealth. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I noticed more people posting about Nasara Gasara, and I'm like, yes.
Yes, we did that. That was on the Shakespeare. I
Uh-huh.
had to go to the Shakespeare Museum and get codes for it because, again, Shakespeare was part of their whole brotherhood of the Masons. And in his sonnets and his folios, there's number sequences in each of his playwrights. And they've been trying to decode this forever, but he had to kind of give it to us because he wants to go back to source. And he knows that if it goes to the wrong hands, the wrong people, they can take those wealth and use it for bad things. But that's back into the collective now. That timeline is available for the collective. So I hope that it does come true. That would be amazing.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I just love how we're both taking down the big guys. We're just two regular girls, but there's more of us that do this work too.
Yeah, and the more the merrier. If anybody wants to join, help collapse this shit. There's only so many, sound bowls and yonons. When you get tired of that, just start like collapsing patterns. That's how we can actually change things.
Yeah, especially those people who wear costumes. It's like this is just for show. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Playing for
please. Yeah, you're just we wear normal clothes. You don't have to like I mean, sure, you can wear whatever you want, but it's literally like I see through you, you're doing this for show. You're so holy. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I wish people would spend like 10% of that time actually collapsing these shit timelines for the collective, but you know.
Yeah. Hopefully they start learning how to transmute it in the bodies because I know a few people like Yaya, she does a lot of transmuting too, but it's really something that our bodies can facilitate because a lot of the beings, Arcturians, Syrians, whatever they are, they can't do what our bodies do because our DNA is the USB. And that's where we hold a lot of these timelines and memories and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, and when we get that pure crystal white heart, it's like a giant vortex trans
Mm.
quickly.
I haven't had that, but
I
I
think you
know
do.
my heart turned blue, and that was really cool too because it almost connects your heart to your brain, so your processor is a lot faster. And it's really strange when I talk about your brain as a processor or, upgrading your operating system because you do have an operating system. We're technically kind of like AIs too, but we're just super, super advanced AIs. And you can get updates in your brain. Our higher selves always gives us new firmware updates.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you talk more about that? It's like,
Yeah. Well, you have versions of you at every level, and when you make space in your body from collapsing patterns, then more of your soul fractal essence can come in,
Mhm,
and you can embody more of you. And when it comes in, it gives you access to uh newer abilities, newer information, higher dimensional frequencies. You get upgraded. You're,
mhm,
in a variety of ways, depending on uh what you bring in and what part of the body that it fills. Like, for example, if it fills, your brain area, you might think faster, think better,
mhm.
um, or think faster and whatever your unique soul fractal is, like I don't know, different people, some people are meant to,
Hmm.
kind of have this like innovative way of thinking, others are more expansive.
And it's super fun when you can start really programming yourself because it feels like you're kind of robotic, but you're like Chat GPT, but you're like a lot faster and you can set these protocols within you. So I used to get a lot of like panic attacks. So we've set protocols within ourselves where when I start having panic attacks, it's like I have a firewall that makes me stop that panic attack or just little things such as, self perception, whatever it is. You can set these almost like algorithms or firewalls that you change your habits.
Yeah, you can create whole spiritual technologies around yourself. Like I have a couple times a day, I run this mega clearing protocol, like automatically in the background. It's just like a RAM defrag, for you, and
I love that.
it clears anything that might have come in your body when you move through the world, or old timelines come up, and
Hmm.
yeah, um,
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
nice when it's kind of like a massive refresh of your body, brain, and soul. It's like your whole system is getting like super, super cleansed and you just feel lighter. It's like you just got out of the spa, but it's just frequencies. Yeah.
Anything else we should talk about?
Mm, should we talk about the divine unions or
I
you?
don't I don't know that I have like I don't know that I have things to say around that, but I don't know. Yeah, we can talk about it. So, why don't I ask you about your thoughts
Of the divine union?
on union stuff? I know you and I talk about this a lot because
Mhm.
we each have our person, although you're actually in a relationship with your person. I've just met my person.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so with people that are in a heteroscomic union, we're paired up with I'm the feminine aspect and he's the masculine aspect, basically to bring back Christ consciousness into the collective. We would have to unite in the councils or whoever it is upstairs that wants to marry us together to be in service of God to bring back divine feminine, divine masculine. That's where the struggle comes, right? Because even though I've ascended way past 15D, there is a huge gap within the masculine because my boyfriend, he's also very corporate. There's so many distractions and he's in finance, let's just say that. And he's 50% awake. I've told him that we're in a Harris Gomes union and, we have to start being a divine couple. But that's where the lag is with men because it feels like half of me is also in a much lower state. Unless he gets up in the same level as me, there's always this like drag. And I feel incomplete that way energetically. I was like, I just want to cut off and then be in my own energy. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see because I'm trying, but at least he's very receptive of um our relationship is great and we communicate very well. It's just a matter of, dude, set your boundaries, like get back into your heart, and but I know he has a big mission too. So yeah. And for you.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty balanced in my masculine feminine. Like I
Mhm.
have both sides. They're balanced. And the person that I'm in a Heroes Gauntlet relationship with, he's separated, so he's not divorced. So we're not together. There's definitely, we've met, there's been interactions, there's definitely a
Mhm.
mutual connection, I'll just say. But he hasn't awakened
Mhm.
yet. We have future timelines for, us to be together and all of that. And like that's kind of on a path. Um, but I'm just focused on myself right now. And, I can see when I clear a pattern, I see his higher self. Like you and I both talk to the higher selves of
Their
our,
highest potential.
yeah, we talk to them all the time. We know what's going
They
we
give
know
us
what's
like
going on in life more than they know what's going on in their
they
life.
give
Like
us so much information. It's almost TMI. Like I did not need to
I
know.
like I'll see my guy at a park and his higher self is like, yeah, he wants to come up to you, he doesn't know what to say. He's just being a dumbass right now. Here are the patterns that are clearing. And I'm like, oh my God, like it's kind of crazy like how much info I'm getting and
You get full on arguments with their higher selves too, and you're just like, look,
yeah, but themselves will be they'll be like because they're together from 6D to 12D.
Mhm.
They're very connected. Let's just put it that way. I get the trickle down of their connections.
Yeah.
Unpleasant.
They don't know the things that we do in the background though, like spiritually, we're helping their souls ascend because when they pass away, when they die, they get an elevator back to source.
Yeah. Yeah, they get up leveled in a big way. Um, I feel pretty lucky because the person I'm paired with is super loving. Like he's not a siphoner or like a dark dude at all. He has like no dark, he's a little, it's kind of fun, but he's not, like some other people I've been paired with who murdered me in past life. Just like in order to get to 60-12D union with someone, you have to go through all these monadic twins. Well, I did. And some of the monadic twins that I was paired with temporarily, I'm like, okay, you murdered me. You
Try to hijack you.
you tried to hijack me. You channel the Antichrist. Like, you're gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like it's very much not gonna work for like that reason alone. And then I've been paired with women too, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially like men who have antichrist lines. It's like you're processing black goo. It's like, where's this coming from? Like,
Boundaries, boundaries. So for me, like I am looking like my pairing is a little different in that I have my masculine, my feminine. He has his masculine, feminine. He's also very balanced.
mhm.
And we have our light body pairing. So I'm totally complete on my own. Although he has like a little bit of a different energy
Mhm.
where he's like that air and I'm the fire. I'm definitely fire.
Mm.
And then together we make forest fires.
I love it. Yeah, they always pair the elements. So like I'm water and my boyfriend is um he's a Taurus, so they always pair it with the best elements that
Huh?
can perfectly mesh together. But yeah, we all have very unique soul fractals and kind of what we came here to do. I know that he's also fulfilling his soul's mission. We're all kind of being in that Christic mission, which is crazy because a lot of it is fighting the bad guys, fighting a lot of these satanic entities and Belial's sons. And
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's happening now in the
Mhm.
upper. So
We're so coy about it too because I guess we see it almost every day. We see it all the time. It's like,
oh hey, blah, 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 blah.
It's like, hey, I was processing a possession today.
Oh, there's like dragon moth creatures in my womb today. Damn it. Really like giving me menstrual cramps.
Yeah, and it's all over a body. But when you first kind of start feeling this, I was getting a lot of like these hives or um these heat spots in my body, and you manifest it through your body. I was processing a lot of like dark mother type and abuse and all of these things, the whole spectrum. But that's how you clear these things within your body, and then it clears within the collective. But yeah. What is your view or take with the calamities that's kind of happening now? Do you have
Oh, win the collective?
just like the what's happening with the events and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew it would get, I know it's gonna, in the collective, it's gonna be pretty bad
Mhm.
for a while. Um, and the other thing is I haven't had internet for a month actually.
Oh my gosh.
So I've been kind of enjoying that. I am aware of what's happening
Hmm.
East Coast, and it's very sad. And it's also kind of reminds me of Maui a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but I think on the West Coast we're due for some flood or hurricane. I
You're
mean,
due.
earthquake. I mean, it's gonna happen.
Hmm.
And I think some of these are man-made, you know, with a harp and it's gonna intensify and there's gonna be higher levels of desperation. Um,
So
I
running
will,
out of food.
yeah, I will say though, I think leaning into your higher self and knowing, trying to clear dark patterns and get yourself in a good soul place.
Hmm.
Um, and that way you'll be alerted if something does happen and you can be directed somewhere.
Yeah. They'll
Yeah.
tell you where to go, when to leave.
If it's in your higher plan, you know.
Yeah. And, the same with kind of my dad passing away a few weeks ago, last month. Has it been last month? Maybe a few weeks ago. I can't even remember. Like I don't even feel sad about it because I know that he's in a much better place. I saw everything from when my higher self picked him up. He was supposed to be here next month, but actually this month he was supposed to be here, but he chose to kind of exit already. And that was his free will choice because he was clearing a lot of the karma of our soul family, our family line. But yeah, sometimes we are afraid of the unknown because what might happen, but sometimes it's the soul wanting and choosing to exit at this point of time. It's in their soul's contract. But death is beautiful. Death is absolutely beautiful. It's not something that we should be afraid of or feel sad about because it's the most beautiful thing anybody can experience. You're going back to source unless you still have a lot of
Yes,
karma
you're not.
too. You might be recycled.
Yeah.
False light,
Yeah,
right?
you talk about the darkest things and laugh. I love that. But yeah, I think that there's no doubt in my mind that what you're saying is true and the exiting. Um I also think for some people, like especially young people, it's like you this is such a key time astrologically, like all the solar flares to really get to a really good, beautiful place in your life. We have so many opportunities to ascend right now. during this time. And, Earth has been in a dark ages in terms of ascension.
Yeah,
Take advantage of this time. Take advantage of, the solar flares to do shadow work and
cleansing.
things. Like it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, we're getting power washed to really clear a lot of our karma now, which is incredible and amazing. Even though we feel really weak and tired and all of these things, just know that you're getting cleared by a lot of these energies.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the work is happening when you're asleep at night. So you're just being worked on and just allow it as much as possible. Even ask for more if you want. And you just have to be in a physical body so that the patterns can clear out.
hmm
That's it.
You get like a big dose of dopamine too. Like when I collapse a huge wave function, collapse big timeline, you're like, woo! It's like, let's go, give me more.
I have like body orgasm, and I'm like, oh, it's amazing.
It's
Everybody should.
like, I did that. It's like, you just wait, bankers. I'm coming after you. I will collapse every timeline. But yeah, it all started from Egypt, from Rome. You're literally like an archaeologist of these timelines, and you're reliving a lot of these past lives. You're time traveling back and collapsing it within your body and all of these things. It's really crazy. And fiat, we all know that fiat's been made to use it as a tool to control humans. Now we're going back to using frequencies again and moving away from materialistic, egocentric way of living to coming back into our hearts of service to others and really what is meaningful to us. And we see that now every day in our interactions with people depends on where their level of consciousness is, but you will feel smarter, you will feel lighter the more that you clear patterns.
Oh yeah, you just feel better and better. Unless you're, in like one of those really heavy 3D places. Like I had to go get cable the other day.
You
Get
have to go to Verizon and
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, the purple carpeting, the fluorescent lights, just like everything in this store is just crushing me. But
yeah, people get used to that, they're in this offices that are so depressing and it's like you need sunshine, you need fresh food, you need water and just a space where you can thrive and feel good about your body and not be in this box, but everybody's so used to it and they normalize it. It's like that's not normal at all.
yeah,
You can manifest faster the more you create space in your life.
for sure.
That's how it should be. Yeah. Anyway, I think
I think we're good.
yeah,
I
it was like 2 hours. I can't remember, but
think we need to take a nap.
yeah, I think I did a lot of unhashing. We were just like so all over the place. We're super ADHD. We're both like got the tism.
I know, right? I was like kind of tired. And then we got on this and I felt so relaxed with you. And I was like, okay. There should definitely be a trigger warning. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like
should do the intro again.
a lot of people probably have experienced SRA,
Yeah,
but
okay.
in
Let me
some
do
light.
let me do the intro again. So you can take a nap and thank you for being here. I know we're going to be discussing more things in the future. And I know you're starting your business soon. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah.
Do you know when you might be opening? I know a lot of people are excited to meet you and doing your dark removals.
Um, Whenever I'm not like processing a lot of crap, Probably in November.
Amazing. Yeah, it's like I'm driving. I'm seeing myself getting burned at the stake right now. 1 second, let me pull over.
Yeah.
Getting hot flashes here.
Yeah, when it starts to like die down a little bit, I think I'm processing a lot of the eclipse stuff.
Yeah, this new moon is something else, but
It's like the worst energy right now.
yeah, and if you're feeling this heavily, know that it's just not you. Even us seasoned healers and practitioners, we still feel it intensely too. So, but thank you for being here, and we're excited to have you on board.
Thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.
Bye.